After I made my Fallout video a few weeks back, I was struck with an overwhelming need to continue scratching my itch, both on my bollocks and on my soul. So off I went and clicked play on one of my absolute favourite games of all time and one of the most beloved role-playing games of all time, 1998's Fallout 2, a post-nuclear role-playing game.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
Fallout 2 is the start of Fallout's more referential, silly identity that is now used to bludgeon people with each subsequent game, and was the last step before the franchise tumbled into a spiralling whirlwind of spin-offs and legal battles and Todd Howard. Fallout 2 began development before the first game even released, and was pumped out in a year with much the same assets, but has infinitely more content than the previous game, and in some stroke of luck is somehow actually good. Better than the original even.
Fucking ha-ha. I say ha-ha, fuck off.
Fallout 2 also happens to be one of the most deeply flawed games in the franchise. It features some of the most disjointed feeling locations, grueling combat encounters, and poorly designed sections from the series, but more about that later. The game opens to the Temple of Trials, an opening dungeon which, although utter bonky mollocks, has always had its frustration and difficulty overstated. It's bad. It's so bad. But really all you do is stab some ants, blow up a door, discombobulate, and then you're out in the real world where you can talk to a woman who looks like someone left Buzz from Toy Story in a microwave for 12 minutes, who will inform you of your quest. In true Fallout fashion, you must locate the MacGuffin device, known as the GECK, or the Get Everyone Comfortable Grr, which as far as Fallout canon is concerned is either a box full of some seeds or a matter energy replicator. To accomplish this task, you are given a sharp stick and a vague tip-off about some guy named Vic in a nearby town of Klamath. So off you walk, across the bridge from your tribal village, and into the wastelands. You are the Chosen One, descendant of the legendary Vault Dweller from Vault 13, and it is your destiny to stab rats in a cave as he once did. It is in Klamath where you will learn more about the world around you. You learn about the prevalence of slavery in the area, which is where Vic is. You get your first gun and meet your first companion. Sulik man and his grumpy bone and totally not racially insensitive accent. Something I didn't cover in my Fallout 1 review was the companions. That was mostly because they had about as much character as Skyrim's companions do, so it was ultimately pointless. But in Fallout 2 we have some real fan favourite characters in the form of companions. We have Cassidy, the eventual father of everyone's ultimate New Vegas waifu, Goris, albino deathclaw and generally scary fucking dude, and
Marquez Brownlee,
everyone's favourite bullet hose and mayor of two towns. Whilst in Klamath, getting yourself acquainted with the controls and user interface, you will likely notice a few improvements here and there, which may or may not be down to the HD patch that was stolen to get this game to work. But you can now scroll in menus which now feature a take all button, and you can actually trade with companions. But all in all, Fallout 2 has the same style of wrist-slittingly awful controls and UI as the first game. Anyways, after you soul bond for life with your man Sulik and learn that Vic got nicked baby, you head out to the den to save him from the Slavers Guild. And no, I don't mean save him from the Slavers Guild the same way that Boone saved his wife, I mean actually save him. Or maybe just don't save him because you played the game before and you know where to go. In the den you get your first real taste of the more pulpy, weird sci-fi identity this game has undertaken in the form of, well, there's a fucking ghost and you can find her locket to free her soul and lay her to rest. That is the kind of game that Fallout 2 is. After admiring the broken down Christless highwayman in a local scrapyard and helping some locals, you're likely to be heading in the direction of Vault City, and after you likely fail a quest to help some mole people not die, you'll arrive at the gates of what is your first example of how the world has changed in the 80 years since the last Fallout game. We no longer inhabit a dead world. We inhabit a world that is well on its way to being rebuilt. Vault City is an entire, thriving city, and hell, maybe there's a tiny bit of incredibly rampant slavery, but credit where credit's due, man. Vault City also serves as an example to the player of the power of the GECK, and what the quest that they are on really means. You are here to access the Vault's archives in order to locate Vault 13 and hopefully a GECK. However, there is one small, insufferable thundercunt of a problem in your way. In order to access these archives, you need to become a citizen of Vault City. Unless you're super smart and lucky, you're going to have to hand out a few favours. Namely, dealing with a town of ghouls and a leaky reactor, by either killing them or fixing the reactor. Either way, you're shit out of luck since the archives don't even have the location of Vault 13, rather the location of Vault 15. A long walk like the one from Vault City to Vault 15 will likely come with many random encounters, and random encounters usually mean combat. So let's get into the undoubtedly most perfect aspect of every Fallout game. Fallout 2's combat is functionally almost identical to Fallout 1's, however it feels so much worse. This second game, with all of its content, has a problem. And that problem is that half of the combat encounters feature so many fucking people on screen that you could easily confuse it for Vermintide. But in that game, fast, action, speed. But in this game, it's more of your classic waiting 20 fucking minutes and then clicking the eyes and waiting 20 fucking endless more minutes. I don't typically like having too many distractions when I play RPG games, but with Fallout 2 I would recommend shoving on a playlist, a podcast, a video, some ASMR, hell some fucking porn, whatever you're into, man, because you're gonna need something to keep you occupied for the 14 months it takes between your combat turns. On your way to Vault 15, you're likely to stumble into New Reno at some point. Reno is the place where Fallout 2 feels its most Fallout 2. Here is a town where you can be anyone, rise through the ranks of a crime family, get your fucking car stolen, become a porn star.
I hope you've been showing your pussy tonight, baby!
And much, much more. You're also likely to wander into Broken Hills, another great location with lots to do and mutants to become close with. But ultimately both of these locations are unimportant to the main plot of the game, so I'll gloss over them, but they are worth mentioning. When entering the world space for Vault 15, you arrive in the Squat, full of people who just kinda wanna live, but are stuck between the raiders that inhabit the vault and the people of former Shady Sands, now known as the NCR, who want to claim their land in much the way that they will eventually want to claim New Vegas. After you peacefully talk to a rapist outside of the entrance to the vault, you can slide on in there and find the location of Vault 13 on one of the computers, and sneak out whilst totally ignoring all local politics and not getting yourself involved. Vault 13, the first thing anyone ever saw in Fallout beyond this wonderfully beautiful face, and now we're back to see all of the friendly people inside. We just open up the door and I guess it's full of Deathclaws now. It's okay though, they're actually friendlier and more intelligent than most people you can meet in this game. These Deathclaws are the result of experiments by the insidious big bad of this game, the Enclave. Anyways, your boy just straight lets you in and you can go stealing the totally funny acronym joke from their cupboard. Let's hightail it home because there is no chance that Fallout 2 will pull the same shit as the first game and actually give you a second task after finding shit. Well, it turns out that there's another army to be blown up and we must head to San Francisco, which features the robot emperor of Chinatown and a Scientologist-style cult, either of which will help you on your quest by fueling a local tanker to get you offshore to an oil rig where the President of the United States is residing with his giant mutant bodyguard. Fallout 2 is wild, man. After helping a local man to recover his spleen that he sold for hard cash to a local merchant who then gave it to another man to eat, you will require a few things to get this baby moving. Fuel, some computer parts, and a key fob for the tanker's hold. The first two are a piece of piss, but the key fob requires you to visit one of the most heavily guarded locations in the entire game, Navarro. Navarro is a military base occupied by the Enclave, with a few colourful characters such as Sergeant Arch Dornan.
You are out of uniform, soldier! Where is your power armor?
The key fob is in a locker, in the base commander's office. You can sneak, you can speak, you can click eyes. Good old Fallout choice. So anyways, boat. The oil rig is the final area of the game and is... it feels almost unfinished. The oil rig and the ensuing boss fight seems to be almost impossible to do without cheesing it. I know of very few people who have ever actually completed the game by going head on into combat, but I guess that's not the point anyway. But without walking into the president's office and secretly planting C4 in his pockets to steal a keycard and having an exceptional weapon, there is absolutely no fucking way that you're killing the big mad cunt himself, Frank Horrigan.
Your ride's over, Muty. Time to die.
This absolute unit of a man is the final boss of the game and is balanced in a very go fuck yourself sort of way. Without cheesing that keycard off of the Don and using it to turn the local turrets against him, you're probably going to get your shit pushed all the way in and back out your mouth. It's frankly not that fun. After Frank dies, the oil rig goes out with a bang and roll on the credits. Fallout 2 ends with everyone living happily ever after, and a town of minorities is totally not forced into slavery by a more powerful military force. Altogether, Fallout 2 holds its space as my second favourite Fallout game as firmly as it ever has. The world and the way that it has evolved from the first game is fascinating to explore. It's like a trip down memory lane with a new lick of paint. Seeing the way local people live their lives in the lands around and inside the fresh and very aggressive NCR, and the way that civilization is coming into a new age is something we have yet to really see again in the series, even though we are now far over 200 years since the world has been wiped clean like a rich celebrity's criminal record. I hope that the 3D Fallout games start to move more into that area again, because seeing what this world will eventually become is fascinating to me. To reference the chart from the first Fallout video, this is the least played main series game, and that is tragic. Play it. I give it a
My cock.
out of 10.
There can only be one overseer. Good luck.